Hi everyone, Sir Tristan here. Just wanted to throw out a little video here on the Spell Brigade. I've been playing this game a little bit over the past couple weeks, tried out the demo, and then I've moved on to buying the game in early access here. I've been playing it for a little bit. I have about 25 hours total in the game, and I'd just like to share some of my thoughts. It's mostly going off of the most recent update we had here just a few days ago, the 8th one, and we have a new wizard and a few new changes to the game, which I'm pretty excited about. So there's a few things about this game that I really like. I'm gonna lay that out before I mention the things I don't like quite so much. I really love basically everything I see here. I love that we have different realms, and I think we're having more added to the game. We have multiple threat levels, so you can choose your difficulty. And once you've unlocked them, you have different packs, right? Harmony pact here. We don't friendly fire each other or just ourselves. If you're like Cabin with Rocky Road, I like that. Eternal Bond. I think this is the most important covenant to making this game replayable. Because it allows us to scale up the difficulty without having to change too much about the game. And also, you get to level up your spells infinitely, as it says here. It's a lot of fun. And Solitary Focus. I think this is a really great addition to the game, and I think it's a great change because just before this update hit, I was thinking to myself, we need something. We need something. We desperately need something that makes each character feel more unique. We already have the signature spells, so what if you can only use your signature spells? Maybe we could see even another covenant added that is like two choice. Like you have one and two. Like you have your solitary focus, which is your main one, and you have your secondary one, as opposed to four. Whenever I was playing with four, it really felt like it was too much. But I don't think we should remove that from the game. So typically when I play, what do I play with? Well, I play with Harmony Pact. I don't like, kill myself. Eternal Bond, I like playing more of the game, and Solitary Focus for the time being is usually what I usually choose. And I normally play on the hardcore difficulty. Believe it or not, I play on that alone, and I usually play on, well, one of the three realms, but usually Pyrestorm a bit. But let's not get ahead of ourselves on that. I'd like to talk about the wizards, because these just got changed. And I think this is great for the game. I think it adds a lot to the game, and I think it makes them even more unique than they already were. And so you can see now we have this like leveling system, this ranking system. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't do anything. I would love that you can get an outfit or skin, whatever you want to call it, from reaching the maximum level, or some other benefit. Maybe you unlock a more powerful version of their signature spell, just something to show like, hey, I'm maximum level moon mage, I get something for that, right? Beyond just having like a number 10 here or something like that. So I think it's a cool way to show your experience on it, just like other systems and other games. That being said, we've had some changes to the passives, and they haven't been completely changed, right? I think it's smaller changes. And one thing I would just like to mention here, we have this thing, if we hover over, we can see the stats. So if I hover over increase luck here, you can see it says +2 to increase luck. I'd love it just to be written out beside increase luck, like we have over here. It's just, when I looked over this initially, I thought it just didn't say it. I don't know if that's hard to implement, but I like that either be an option if possible, just something I can look at. But overall, I'm really happy with these changes. We have increased luck written on Reginald. I forget what the original value was. And his other ability has been scrapped. I forget with like XP rate or something. And it's been scrapped for this. Increased chance of finding health potions and magnets, +10%. The luck I feel is strong. Health potions and magnets feels kind of weak. It's not terrible. I think it's it's very medium. Maybe it needs to be stronger than 10%. The magnets aren't really that powerful. It's mostly the health potions. And if you play in higher difficulties like I do, Even the health potions on like Ascension 2 or 3, you just get one shot by enemies, so healing 200 points doesn't do anything. You just have to dodge it all. But, it is what it is. Signature spell. Now, I don't know if this is unique to Astral Orbs when he has it, or if this is just how it is, but I assume that's how it works. Plus 25% spell size and minus 12% cooldown, right? If that's true, I think that's strong, and I think that makes his Astral Orb stand out a little bit compared to others. Let's move on quickly to Sun Mage here. We have increased dodge 7%. I don't think it was quite that high before. I think that's good. We have moves faster on roads and environmental hazards. It's kind of specific. I don't mind it for just how this game works. I don't mind it. There's a lot of roads and environmental hazards, so I think it's okay. Smaller hitbox is also a cool little benefit. Makes Sun Mage's Solar Pulse a little bit easier to get away with, right? And here you can see we have our Solar Pulse rather, plus 33% size when Sun Mage is using it. So I think that's a good addition. Moon Mage gets the new spell and infusions faster. I haven't played with this yet, so I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but let's just say it's 4 or whatever. Instead of, I forget the number, is it 10? Depends on what the numbers are. If we're at the 10% faster, that's pretty good, but then this falls off a cliff the second we hit that. Increased XP gain of 3%, like, I get it. I like this theme, but I feel like we need more than 3%. Maybe the issue is if we have a team of 4 Moon Mages, this goes up to 12%, but I'm not too sure. 3% feels really weak, at least when you're playing alone. Another signature spell, the Moonerang, has increased spell size and range. That seems fine. One that I'd like to bring up more so, that I have a bit of a problem with here, is Ludwig. So it's unaffected by elemental effects. So I'm assuming this has something to do with the environment, along with if, say, you don't have your Harmony Pact on, you can't hurt yourself with your own fire or something, right? Bigger hitbox is a bit of a nerf, unless it makes the sword bigger. Again, I haven't played with this yet, but unless this makes the sword bigger hitbox is just a nerf. It's just worse to play Ludwig. Increased armor 12. Again, we have this issue of, and I'll talk about this later, armor not scaling terribly well. So 12 is great early game, but isn't as useful late game, right? We can get this much off of one of the crates. And decreased movement speed is crippling. I don't think we need to decrease Ludwig's movement speed if we're giving him a bigger hitbox. I think that can just be removed, personally. An Arcane Broadsword. My opinion on the spell, specifically, I don't like that it's always clockwise. It always just annoys me. It's like if you've ever played League of Legends, old Aurelion Sol had these spinning orbs around him and you needed them to do most of his damage, and you kept having to reposition yourself. This game's not as bad as League for that, but Arcane Broadsword, personally, it's not for me. Maybe other people love it, but I do like the increased spell size. Makes it a bit easier to hit, and same with cooldown. But yeah, I think Ludwig needs a little bit more out of this patch. Let's go to Aldrich. Now, I think Aldrich's been changed to be more of a healer, and I like that because I thought it was weird when I was playing Aldrich before, and the Aether Beam seems kind of weak, particularly before you get the augmentation, have multiple of them. And you can see that it's been changed here. Well, Aldrich's been changed to heal more efficiently the teammates. And I don't really play a whole lot with other people, but 25% is a good number. Maybe it's even more, just to really focus Aldrich on healing, or maybe all healing is more efficient, right? So maybe we have this thing of, okay, all healing is more, so this includes Aldrich's regen, right? Make it, and I think that 25% number is great. And going into regen, I think 1 health regeneration is terrible. And let me just prove my point here. We have these enchantments, as they're called, static abilities that we have when we level up our account. We get this gold. I don't know how much gold we get for things, but you get a few thousand every time you play a match. If you're playing on the higher difficulties, like one to two, I think, something like that. You can see I have these all maxed out. So let's look. We have damage plus 20%, XP plus 12, and this is kind of my contention. Let's look back. I remember I was saying Moon Mage 3% felt pretty low. We have on our enchantment 12%, right? That just, to me, that just feels really weak because that's one of these ranks. And we go up to the armor. It's the same deal. We have plus 80 armor. Ludwig has 12. The luck is 10. Reginald's getting a little bit more at 2 there, right? But this HP regen is only 1, right? So even if we compare it off of the other ones, right? We had Ludwig coming in with a portion of the 80, 12. We have the XP at 1/4 of the previous value, and the luck at 1/5, right? HP regen is 12 for this on the enchantments, and Ludwig only gets 1. I just feel like that's like, especially when you're playing on higher difficulties, and you're playing and you're getting hit and you take 500 damage at once. For this to matter, for one of those hits, you need to regen health and 500 instances for this to do anything. So maybe that's just me, but I just feel like this is really weak. At least put it in line with how much you got from one of these. Give him 3. But I still feel like that's really weak. Because it's not like cooldown reduction. Because cooldown reduction stacks, right? HP regen is just flat. So I'd love to see that number bumped up. Revive teammates more efficiently. Again, this kind of puts him more in the healer. I feel like this is the weakest of his abilities, even including 1 health regeneration. That's just kind of a little extra flavor there. But I like the rest of what's going on here. Next is the new mage, which I have yet to play, and I'll play in this video here. Maggie. Knows the location objectives faster. How much faster? I have no idea how this works, so we'll just try it out. And knows the location of health potions, magnets, and relics. Like, this is fine. I'd really, like, this feels incredibly weak, because if you're playing around the map, if you're looking around, especially if you have 4 people, you can see everything. Especially if you're in a call with someone. This is just kind of pointless. At least that's just what I think. I think Maggie needs a bit more. Give her something, right? Maybe we need to go into this enchantment table and pick something out that Maggie could give us, right? Just food for thought. I've yet to play her, but this sort of information-based thing is more so things you can make up for with experience. So then it makes Maggie less playable the better you are at the game. If that makes sense. So maybe have something like this as like a smaller passive, kind of like the Eldrick revives teammates more efficiently, but give her something like heals teammates more efficiently, like increased XP gain, or as we're going to see on Cavan, gaining XP when taking damage. Something that makes her more unique, other than just the signature spells, right? Because, I mean, I've played with her wings, it's kind of cool, but if that's all she is, I feel like people don't want to play her as much. Cavan, as I alluded to, I really like his change here. I liked him before. He gains XP when taking damage, is a great early game buff to Cavan, because you can kind of just tank a few enemies and gain a few levels right away. And it gives you a little trickle of XP throughout the game. And it kind of builds him into this bruisery tank. I think it really makes his playstyle unique, because if you're playing to his passive, you get a lot out of it, and you play differently because of it. On top of his signature spell, which has more spell size and damage. I would personally prefer damage rate, just to make it feel a bit more unique. I feel spell size is really not that strong on a lot of the mages. It's fine on Cavan. Star Mage, as you can see, I already have 3. I've only played 1 game of Star Mage. Very strong. I think Star Mage is the strongest wizard, at least in my opinion. And this elemental effects are more effective by plus 15%, pushes it further. I think he was the strongest before the patch. I think he's the strongest after the patch. I have yet to play everything, of course, but my reason for thinking so is that elemental effects are more effective 15%. That means your fire is doing 15% more damage, as far as I understand. Your lightning doing 15% damage, and we have this 12% cooldown. Now you might be saying, well, hold on. Maggie has 12% cooldown. Yeah, that's true. But Star Mage is able to, I think it's 6 or 7 stars at the same time. So this 12% cooldown goes really far when it comes to doing damage. Actually, Rune Blast, I think there's another contender along with Campanelli for one of the stronger characters, and this is because of the Rune Blast. But let's look at the change here. Increased damage, decreased max HP by 300, start at 1200, so it's down to 900. More vulnerable to elemental effects, plus 15%. I don't know if there's a way to make this a positive, and I'm just oblivious to this, but this seems like a terrible combination. Mind you, we do have plus 20% spell size, 12% duration, 8% cooldown on Rune Burst, so quite a few buffs. But I don't think this is enough to make up for getting one shot by everything. And if you're getting damage from your own things and you're not on Harmony Pact, taking even more damage from your own things. I think it's mostly just Rune Blast that makes Hati strong. I'm not really understanding these. Maybe we keep these the same and we make that increased damage more comparable to our enchantment here, right? Our 20%. Maybe Hattie, because there's 2 drawbacks, can have 15%. Maybe it sounds a bit crazy, but you know, we see over here on the signature spell, we have 8% damage, and Kevin has no drawbacks. Only buff, and I would say this XP buff is really big. I mean, you know, it is what it is, but I really feel like the damage needs to be higher if we're going to have negative. Next is Campanelli, of course. Campanelli's Phantom Blades now have a higher spell size, a lower cooldown. That's good. Has increased size, damage, and duration for the Resurrection Beam. I honestly don't know what Resurrection Beam is. Maybe I just haven't played enough of the game. Somebody tell me what that is. I don't know what that is. Increased move speed 10%. That's great. If you played enough of this game on the harder difficulties, 10% move speed is often the difference between you making an objective or not. And of course, last we have Wizard King, and Wizard King has an increased critical hit chance of 10%. Maybe we could have increased critical damage as well. Double down on the crit, 10 and 10. I think that'd be nice. Maybe not my decision to make, but I would like to see that. And we have Magic Missile. Release a powerful projectile. We all know what that does. 20% duration. I don't understand duration on Magic Missile. Maybe I don't know what this is, but it seems useless. 8% cooldown, 8% spell size. Sure, give me. Great. But before I'm just kind of been rambling on here, but that's just what I think about these wizards, right? I think there's a lot of good changes. I think this helps direct them into new places, but I think we need to give certain mages just a little bit of love. We need to give Maggie some sort of passive here other than knowing locations of things, right? We need to give Ludwig his movement speed back. And I think we need to give Hattie something to make up for these downsides. These are crazy compared to most of the other things just having a benefit. And I would say, for example, 10% crit chance. I mean, what do you start off with crit damage? I think 170. So it's not exactly 10% more damage, but I think it kind of works out to being more damage than Hattie. You know, I mean, maybe I gotta do the math on that, but I think you have with 10% crit chance on Wizard King is more net damage than Hattie's 6% increased damage. And of course, Wizard King has no downside. So that's just my thoughts on the Wizards there. I'm gonna ramble on forever. get into a game with Maggie here. Don't have any of these, of course. I haven't read this yet, so let's read it. Elias's Drumstick and Crazy Eyes. I'd like to mention here, I love the stained glass artworks that we have for all the wizards now. It's a good little detail. And back to this. Half bird, half mage, allegedly. This is one alert as she is resourceful. Some might find a giant golden bird helmet a bit on the nose, beak, but each trinket she carries is a token of her success. Okay. It allows her to gracefully command the bird she conjures to her every will. Alright, so I'm expecting a lot of birds, a lot of stuff. So let's go on here. I'm not going to go Eternal Bond this time, but let's just go like this. And let's just see what it is. Oh, also, real quick on the matchmaking. This is weird. I don't know if this is new. See how it says widget activity full right now? Full bars. Click matchmaking. 1/3. I don't know why it does that. It's really strange. Matched with wizards in any, these are good for matchmaking. I find it's not a problem. But one thing I would like to mention when it comes to matchmaking, and we're not going to see it this game, of course. I'm not going to wait for somebody, but there's no chat. I can't type and ask people things before the game, get excited for the game, strategize, do anything before the game. I can't even ask them like, hey, are you wanting to play another game? Something like that. Like, no communication. I love to see just like a bar right here that I can click and just type in, hey, excited for the game, or just something like that. Hey, there's a lot of things with limited communication for this. Oops. Not a bit of a problem with the whole like quick chatting system. It really makes it hard, but let's just see what the bird does here. So it seems to bounce off of everything. We can see that they're being cast. All right. And you can see where we have the one that's the single choice. So I'm not going to be getting anything but the Aurora Wings. Let's see here. So 21% XP. So this is something I'd like to bring up about the XP game. In this game. I feel like the legendary number is good, but the lower ones are just such a waste when you level up and you see them. Maybe that's part of how the game is, but I'll take it if I see legendary. Maybe epic, but it never feels strong enough. It's not that good. Anyways, so looking at the birds so far, it seems to be one-shotting on the hardest difficulty, which is pretty good. I play Star Mage, he does not one-shot. If you play something like Ludwig, of course, you'd be killing all of them right now. But yeah, like, I'd like to point this out. I think I can look at this here. Yeah, okay. So crit chance is 22% base right now. My crit damage, 175. Right. I feel like the critical chance increase is too low. I feel like 4% is way too low. Because, okay, so look here. Aurora Wings is 10%. If this was the overall damage, it's 5%, right? 5% over for the common. 5%? 4% for critical chance. And we can think of a 1% increase in critical chance as a percentage of what our critical damage multiplier is. So 75, right? A 4% chance to deal 75% more damage. If this was 200%, just to simplify, that would mean that this represents a 4% increase in damage overall, right? That's if it's 200. This is 175, so it's weaker than that. So that means this critical chance upgrade right here is worse than the regular base damage. So if I'm doing, like, I'll pick it up if there's nothing else, but I always feel like the critical chance is too low. I feel like in order to make it comparable to damage upgrades, we need to boost this up to 6% base, and then make all the other numbers scale up accordingly. Because right now, there's never a reason to pick this, unless we have nothing else here, right? Dodge chance, I think because it's flat dodge, and as far as I know, though I've never tried to max it out, if dodge just keeps going up, I think there's no cap. If there's no cap, I think the dodge numbers should not change because 100% dodge would be crazy. So don't make those numbers too high. But right now, of course, we're just going to pick up spell damage and just go forward. If you're playing this game and you want to beat the harder levels, try dragging all these guys onto here, especially if you're playing something like Star Mage and you have that early game difficulty in getting damage out. They all take a bit of chip damage, walking over, and it might help you with clearing them up. Talking about these elements though, like the fire, let's say the lava, and tornadoes, things like that. Oh, hold on. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Titan's Fury. 5%. Like, it's just not good enough, in my opinion. You can see I just tanked 333. That's the damage numbers we're looking at early game. And we're genning 12. It's just to like stand on a point. I think it's like every second and 2 seconds, I think, is the regen. 2 seconds. How about that? So every 2 seconds we're regenerating 12, which means we're generating with Eldrick only like half of a HP more. So that one hit that I took of 300 damage, 600 seconds, 10 minutes. Alright. Aurora Wings, increase spell damage, yeah, so that's great. But yeah, like the only time I ever pick up a critical hit chance modifier is when it's the next upgrade higher than the base damage. And same with the critical damage. Increasing the critical damage by 10%. And maybe I just don't understand crit. Maybe I'm understanding this whole critical system incorrectly, and it's a much larger multiplier than I understand. But this would only put me up to 185. Alright? So it's only really a 10% increase on my critical hit chance, right? So it's really only... it's a really small increase in damage, right? Of course, we're going to pick up the base damage on the spell, 35%. It's a much, much, much bigger number. I can see we're already hitting for 400 here. Got our first objective. So we have the unstable... Okay, great. I would like to talk about this. This is one of the hardest to do solo. I'm going to try to do it for you guys here. I feel like this needs to be 4 solo. It's just so hard to get all 5. Even with a good bit of experience. And I spawned right next to it, right? If I'm on like a higher ascension, I just don't have this privilege, really. Because they're just not dying. See, I took some chip damage there, and no one can play perfect, of course. Get some more cooldown. Try to pick up the last spell. Yeah, I mean, I do like that. Oh, I need to get out here. I do like that objective and concept. I think it's unique. It's just not. It's hard to do. It's really hard to do. Not saying these shouldn't be challenges, but I think it's too punishing to the solo player. Okay, here. So we have the augments for this. Hits an additional target, explodes at the end of its lifetime. So we see a lot of these. Hits an additional target, casts an additional. I'm going to take the explosion with hopes that you can only get one explosion, and if there's a tertiary, like a third modifier, we'll see that. So I'm going to take the explosion. Also think the explosion is probably the stronger of the option. That was a pretty early augment. I think that's about as early as you can get them. You're going to be dodging these tornadoes, and as I was saying about the environment before, these tornadoes, they do 100 base damage, I believe. But now, importantly, and along with the lava, your armor actually matters, and I like that change. I noticed it when I was playing, and I was thinking, oh, you know, before, I was thinking, wow, it's weird that these elemental things aren't affected by armor. They are now. I don't know what the numbers are. It doesn't seem like it's a straight percentage. I really want to know how that's calculated. I have no idea. Like the tornado was doing 65, the lava was doing 15. Maybe I just misremembered what the base damages were. Yeah. This. What am I trying to get at? Let's see if I can find one of those like crates. Usually hiding somewhere. Let's see one. Yeah, so I'm gonna get the augmentation. Fire, I'll take fire. Seems like it spreads quite a bit. I'll have to see the full upgrade here later. Of course, we're in the single option, so we need as much damage as we can get. You know, a lot of decently rare stuff. It's pretty good. Can definitely feel that 21% XP boost from that first level there. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty chill. For the fiery dimension, you know. I'm not really telling a bunch of. Oh, great! I think I skipped over this before. I'd like to talk about it now. Health increases, and this is why I was trying to find one of those boxes. 300. I find it frustrating in two ways. When we level up, we stay the same health, right? We don't increase. On top of that, when we select health, there's not a huge bonus to getting more health. Why I might want to think about grabbing health is like, oh, I pick up one of those crates, I get one of those unique buffs. And I can reroll. If I have extra health, it kind of goes against that downside, right? Here we can see that upside of Maggie. I can see the objective. But it kind of goes against that downside, right? It doesn't though, because it scales. So if I gain more max health, I have to pay more max health. And it just feels really bad when you're the player and you're thinking, oh, I took this, and I kind of get indirectly punished for this decision I made earlier. So not only is health kind of weak because it doesn't give you damage, health is even weaker because if you were to ever reroll, you get punished by losing more health. So it makes your choice less good. I might pick up movement here just to be able to finish this little objective. So where I meant earlier by like an extra 10%, movement speed is usually pretty helpful. We have 8 here. Just because these objectives are largely movement based, and I do like the objectives in this game for that reason. Grab that damage. But one thing I do often find, like in 2-player plus, I feel like it's not as bad, but 1-player, the AI is so punishing. Like if I come in here, I have to be really, I just took damage. be really careful. And even then, I can't do a ton. Not playing perfectly right now. That's gonna be tight. Have another move speed to 1. Let's go spell damage on here. Might just sacrifice my health. Oh, we'll make it. Yeah. Hits an additional target. Oh, so it's just that's the only option is hits an additional. That's kind of disappointing. Okay, see, pay with your health is what I was talking about. 400. If I took that health, it'd be like 500 something. Just make it a flat number, in my opinion. Because if we have this scale up when you take extra health, it makes it weak to take extra health in comparison. So, I don't agree with this scaling up. Please just make it flat. And please make it less than 400. I think 400 is way too much. Maybe like 200? Because I never reroll. There's never a reason to reroll. Not only because it's way too much, also you can just choose one, wait it out, go to the next. Let's increase our cooldown. Let's get our next infusion. And I'll go plasma. And talking about infusions, I do think that lightning is the strongest. Just for wave clear overall damage. Acid, I would love to know the numbers. Like, does it increase damage by 10%, 20%? I don't know how much it does, because I don't know if it's like resistance based or what. See, critical chance, 9%. And this is kind of the thing I was talking about before. 9% crit chance, okay? 22% goes up to 31. I can just take more spell damage, and that just makes it's just more damage. Like, I'm not trying to say it's awful, but why would I ever take that? I mean, of course, we're in a solo mode, so haste here is better when we have 4 spells, and it makes up for the fact that the cooldown is lower overall, so I'm not gonna bash that. But I feel like crit just isn't strong enough. See, here I have 20% crit damage by increase base critical damage by 20%. Critical damage goes up to 95%. Basically a 10% increase in damage, or cooldown by 15%. 15% increase in damage. I know. I think it's more actually because look at how cooldown works if it stacks. It's more damage. But I don't know what spell size does. Like, just a real quick thing. When I first started playing, I was thinking, oh, spell size is great, because if I shoot my ability, it'll hit more things. If we're thinking Cavit, that makes sense. But a lot of these spells are absorbed by the first thing they hit. And this spell, the Aurora, seems to just go into the first enemy. So what's the point in spell size, you know? We'll keep taking the damage. I'll just play till we see Soul Pitch here. I'm not gonna do too much here. I mean, it seems fine. Make good damage. I might have just impulsively taken the rare. That's okay. We're not sweating it out here. Another 15%. Again, XP gain by 7. 15. You gotta think, we're at level 25 right now. XP is exponential. Logarithmic or something of that sort, right? We need more XP each time we level up. So taking luck is great when it's legendary, but taking luck when it's lower than epic is not good. Because it's just not good enough. It's not a good enough version of it. Like, increase my max health by 100. Okay, great. It increases it by less than 10% total. If I got to Ascension level 2, I just get one shot. So there's no point in 100 more health. Same with HP regen by 1. I told you how bad I think that is. Take more spell cooldown. I'm not trying to say like these things suck in their conception. I'm just saying like I think they're just too weak. And right here we can see the damage reduction. We're only taking 18 from the lava here. And I think that's great. I think that gives us a bit more strength to armor. You know, games like this, we always have to think, in my opinion, that defensive stats are worse than offensive stats because there's enemies to kill, and that's the main threshold for XP. So we need to make defensive stats really worth it if we're going to put them into the game. Like, taking 10% less damage is way worse than dealing 10% more unless it's additive and you can make that number 0, like with the dodge mechanic. Even still, you need to kill them to continue leveling up and be able to actually, you know, progress in the game. But, you know, little things like not taking as much damage from lava, they can help us. It also makes our regen and any ally healing a little bit more effective. Just getting used to these little symbols on the bottom. I do like it. But I'll be honest, I really wish that this ability that Maggie had was just a base ability in the game. I really don't feel like we should be having this behind a specific character. This just feels like a gameplay feature. We have this one, Delayed Fate. 400, that's crazy. Luck is increased by 1 each time you don't use your available rerolls, maximum 10. I think this is very strong. Joint Protection is very strong, and this one is also very strong. Bountiful Quests. Let's just take Delayed Fate, see if we can get some lucky stuff here. We've already gotten pretty lucky, I'll be honest. Maybe it's just because I'm recording, they're like, hey, you know, a better run. I will be honest, it's hard to tell just how much this ability is doing, but it feels like my damage is good. It feels like I'm kind of coasting. Doesn't feel like I've received any real challenge. Normally if I'm playing Star Mage, he really starts to pick up around now, right? You have your first couple infusions, your first couple augments, and now you're off the ground. This character doesn't feel like that. It's been a smoother transition, and that makes my guess that the late game isn't as powerful. Let's get more cooldown. What was I wanting to say? Oh yeah, objectives. So I would like. Here we are, 9% crit chance. Taking cooldown. Take the basic over the epic. I think it's better. Write at me in the comments if you think I'm wrong. You know, maybe I am. I don't know. I'm having fun here, but you know, I don't think the crit chances is good. Okay, so on the objectives, right? So we have 3 HP regen armor. We have a few different objectives. My main contention with objectives is mostly just difficulty in doing it solo. Not so much Bewitched Fungi, not so much the crab or the statues. Mostly, I mean, sacrifice is okay. You don't have damage, you're just screwed, but mostly the X cores. Okay, legendary. And the Soul Sludge. But another thing I have a little bit of a problem with is just seeing that I have an objective. So when I level up, it goes dong, and it shows me this screen. Right? I think they use the same sound effect when you get an objective. No, it's like a little drum roll. What am I talking about? I just think it's too quiet. And it's not distinct enough. And I know it reads on the screen, but my mind just doesn't read it. I don't know what it is. And I was playing a game last night with another player. And as far as I could tell, she didn't see it was happening one of the times too. Like, you just kind of zone out, and you don't even know that there's an objective if you're playing a longer game like this. So, my recommendation, just add something, you know? Yeah, let's go spell cooldown. But yeah, we're doing stuff here, having fun. I mean, really, it feels like Maggie's serviceable, right? Getting some stuff done. Base critical damage. See, this is what I was saying before. This is a comparable to... Just keep taking spell damage. That was some good damage. I think that was a crit. Oh, good time to bring this up. Pick up distance. Why is this an option? Like, pick up distance is the worst. I don't... Why is this in... Like, I like pick up distance as an enchantment, right? For the thing you have coming into the game. Because it's just like, hey, you've played the game a little bit, you can pick up things a little further away. Seeing it here as an epic, I'm like, man, imagine if that was an epic something else, anything else. I'd even take the crit chance at this point. It just doesn't feel like it's, you know... I know I have a lot of complaints here. I like to complain, that's the type of person I am. I'm not trying to say this shit on the game, I like the game a lot. But I like to bring up things that I see, because I think, hey, there's a lot in this game. There really is. Like, I have a lot of fun. But it's just these little things make the game feel less polished, right? A little bit less... You know, a little bit less like, oh yeah, look, little new objective. Secure this and stable spell core. So it is right there on the screen, 100%. I'm with you, right? I'm not arguing that. What I will argue is that... Let's take the damage. I am just so blind to that when I'm, like, zoned in. Maybe I'm watching a video on the other screen, relaxing, having a good time, you know. I just don't read it until I look up top and I see, oh, 155, and then I start it now. Maybe this needs to be a different color at the top, or the thing that pops up needs to be brighter, or doesn't have an opaque, it has an opaque background or something. Because I'll be honest, I don't read it a lot of the time, even though it's right there. Let's see if I can sneak in here. Alright. Take some more cooldown. I think the damage is decent here. Of course, the... Ooh. I do like the hitboxes on the crabs, by the way. Oh boy. Let's not die here. Oh, and one thing on the level ups, I know I'm kind of all over the place this video, but... man, these are kind of... When I'm playing a game with other people, and, you know, we need to level up, the 30 seconds is so much time. So much time. It's crazy. Like, and I played multiple games with either new players or maybe a bit more experienced players. I'm not sure. Or the people just don't care. And they let the timer wait out. And like, that's fine if I'm queuing up with my buddies and I know someone wants to go take a washroom break. And by the way, maybe there should be a way to pause the game. You know? But if I'm playing with random people and there's no text chat at all, I have no way to communicate with these people, so I don't know if they're coming back. And I've had quite a few times where I'm like just playing and someone's just AFK. And I specifically queued up because I wanted to play like an Eternal with another person, right? And I'm 30 minutes into the game. And now the game's kind of hostage because I have to wait 30 seconds every time we level up. And it feels so bad. Um, I can't really describe. I shouldn't have taken that for this video. Um, it just feels so bad because like I'm waiting 30 seconds. I'm like, is this dude coming back? I don't know. Should I just quit? So I think maybe if somebody has failed, first of all, I think it should be lower than 30 seconds. Maybe make it 20 or less. You don't need that much time. Um, I mean, like I think 30 seconds is incredibly generous. Because you gotta think, I just leveled up 3 times. Imagine waiting a minute and a half. You know, we're in this video right now. I click it, we're right through on solo. If someone's waiting even 10 seconds each time, 30 seconds is added to this run. We level up 51 times. And it adds up. And again, I don't mind so much as like an option, but I feel like if we're gonna make the queuing system more fun, we make it just like it's just a better online. And that kind of brings me to one of my last points I want to make here: the chat. So I think these are kind of cute. Like we can go focus on objective, grant me life. I was using the other day, well struck, all is forgiven. Like this, I like this. What I like more is a text chat. I mean, maybe you just don't want people to say nasty things, right? I get that. But like, let me type and talk with someone. Let me just say like, hey, you know, how's it going? Like, I find it ridiculous that I can't chat up the person I'm playing and be like, hey, you want to play another one or something like that. And I think that's where you build the community for this game, is people are able to just talk to each other without having to hop in Discord. Because maybe they can start like in the game, they play like, oh, they have a really good game. They say, hey, I want to meet up. Either give each other information through it, or say, hey, let's meet up on the Spell Brigade Discord, right? Super easy way to connect people. I don't think the chat should be limited in that way. And if you're really going to limit it like this, give me more than 16 options. It's crazy. I struggle so much. Health potion. My last point, probably. I think that should be relative to the total health that you have. So if you're going to have a greater max health, give me more health potion. And you did the opposite for punishment for the reroll. You know? It just feels like we need more benefits for having health. And maybe I'm kind of biased because, you know, I'm playing here in the hardest difficulty, and I can dodge these things, right? But even if I was taking the damage, let's just say I couldn't. Health doesn't stop me from taking damage. Armor stops me from taking damage. And dodging stops me from taking damage. Past a certain point, your health doesn't matter. So give us a little bit more of a benefit, in my opinion. And there we are. We have Soulfish, and you know, just kind of wrapping up the video here. We'll do a Soulfish kill. I really want to see more bosses. I know it's coming out, so I'm not going to complain about that. More enemies, more bosses, because I think this is the way the game can really have its shining moments, right? We can have this boss fight that we played off the woods, you know? And we can see the strengths of our mages come out in these fights. The strength of this one being I can just run away. I take 12% haste. I can just run away, and I think I can actually get the kill without having to be close. I don't mind the mechanics of this boss, by the way, otherwise. It's okay. I do find sometimes that the falling rocks are hard to see, but maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just a skill issue, you know? Yeah, we're making quick work of Soulfish here. And part of that's the only being able to choose one spell, right? I think that's why that game mode being released is really important, because I get to focus more on this spell. Yeah, we're gonna get this kill. Nice. Well, thanks everyone for coming and watching. That's a really long video and I'm just rambling, but hopefully we got something out of it. Hopefully, if any of the devs or anyone else is watching, and I gave you any sort of ideas, comment below, let me know if you think something's good. I I feel like there's a lot of potential in this game. I feel like this game is a lot of fun, and there's so much to be done with this format. I think it can really shine if we have a few more mages in here. I know there's something. I have the card up. Let me bring it up. Yeah, plan for 2025. I mentioned this before. New boss and rank 8 bosses, new covenant. I think the new covenant is the one that we already received, but maybe not. Maybe there's a fourth. New elements, that would be exciting. New realm, same deal. More relics, objectives, and quests is great. More stats and info, yes, please give me that. New revive, improve progression, threat level rebalancing. Maybe that's some of the stuff I've touched on. And improve matchmaking. Maybe that's something else. Expanded soundtrack. Yeah, it'd be nice to have more music. We only really have a couple tracks right now. Really good stuff coming. Really, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there. Right. Really, there's a lot of good things in this game, but I'm excited for new spells. I'm excited for new wizards, more enemies, just everything really. I think this update's great. I think this update is really pointing the game in the way it needs to go from early access, right? I played the demo before I played the game, and I thought, oh, it's kind of good. And it was just enough to give me that taste and say, hey, I want to buy the early access. I'll take that dive, even though, early access has a bad rap for reasons, and it's valid reason. But I think that people at this studio, they know what they're doing in terms of making a game, talking to people, and maybe something I've mentioned here is a good point. Maybe something here is able to make this game a bit more balanced, but also give each of these characters a sort of play style, makes them unique. Maybe it's not my idea, maybe it's someone else's idea that's better, right? But just the concept of, when I'm playing Sun Mage feels different to Reginald. When I'm playing Ludwig feels different to Aldrich. And as long as we have that idea, I think we have a good game. I think when the game starts to be less fun, when the game starts to be more repetitive, is when we don't focus on making it different every run, right? A game I played a lot is Potato, right? It's a kind of similar concept in many ways. I think it's a great game. You know, games like these roguelites, they really need different characters, which we have, but we also need a different feel for each character. That's really important. So that's why I was saying here that the Covenant here, solitary focus, is, I think this is great for the game. Harmony Pact is, I like that it's a toggleable thing. Maybe make it more difficult by turning it off. Who knows, right? But I think we need more Covenants to change the game modes. I think, in my opinion, we need an even harder difficulty. As you just saw, I beat the first level by myself. First time trying the character. I know I have maxed out enchantments pretty much, but still. Maybe we'll have to do a video where I take them all off and do it. I don't know. But just some food for thought. Fourth realm would be great. Harder difficulty would be great. I think there's a lot of great things happening in this game. But that's not about what I think. If you guys have made it this far, drop a like. Tell me what you think about Spell Brigade now. Have you been playing the game? Do you think that something I've said is wrong? Do you think something I've said is right? Do you think that there needs to be many more of these mechanic-based changes to make your choices matter? Do you think that? Or do you think that I'm blowing things out of proportion? Let me know. maybe I'll do a little tier list on the different spells, and I'll do a different video just saying like, hey, this is where I think everything is, and maybe it can be a bit more consumable of a format. But anyway, that's it for today. Catch you guys. Have a good day.